Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, Living Wisdom and Dharma World. In today's session, we'll explore one of the most profound teachings in Buddhism, the 12 links of dependent origination, or pratityasamutpada. This teaching illustrates the conditioned, interconnected nature of existence and the cycle of suffering, samsara. It explains the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, while offering transformative insights into the nature of reality, the mind, and how we can transcend it. The 12 links of dependent origination highlight how ignorance leads to suffering through a chain of causality, and how understanding this chain can lead to liberation. Let's begin by understanding the context and origin of this teaching. Context and origin of dependent origination. The 12 links of dependent origination represent the Buddha's deep realization of causality, uncovered during his enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. This concept of dependent origination is central to Buddhist philosophy. It reveals the intricate web of cause and effect, showing how all phenomena arise due to specific conditions and cease when those conditions are removed. As the Buddha says, when this exists, that arises. When this ceases, that ceases. It's a profound antidote to the extremes of eternalism and nihilism, showing that nothing exists independently, and nothing is entirely annihilated. In the Buddha's time, many people sought to understand why suffering persisted and how to escape it. Some schools believed in an eternal soul, while others claimed everything was random. The Buddha rejected both views, presenting dependent origination as the middle way. Observing the cycles of birth, death, and rebirth, the Buddha discerned this principle as the root of samsara, the cycle of suffering, which also illuminates the way to liberation. The 12 links. Sequential breakdown. These 12 links explain the process or cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Let's delve into the 12 links step by step, using examples from daily life to clarify each link. 1. Ignorance. Avidya. Ignorance is the root of all suffering. It is the lack of understanding of the Four Noble Truths and the nature of reality as impermanent, unsatisfactory, and without inherent self. Ignorance means we have no light to illuminate us or wisdom to guide our actions. It creates all the consequences we experience now and future as well. To understand it better, imagine someone unaware of the health risks of smoking. They continue the habit, thinking it will bring happiness, when in reality, it causes harm. So, ignorance blinds us to the consequences of our actions. Again, imagine someone chasing happiness through material possessions, unaware that true contentment comes from within. This misunderstanding perpetuates their dissatisfaction. Thus, ignorance sets the stage for the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. 2. Mental formations, sankhara. Ignorance fuels mental formations, habitual patterns, intentions, and karmic imprints that shape our actions. These mental, verbal, and physical formations are conditioned by ignorance. They are karmic actions driven by ignorance. They create the seeds for future experiences and rebirths. For instance, because the smoker remains ignorant, they develop a strong habit of reaching for cigarettes whenever stressed, reinforcing the cycle. Or one acts out of anger or clings to things without mindfulness. These karmic actions propel the continuation of the cycle. A person's habitual anger leads them to hurt others, planting seeds for future suffering in their relationships. 3. Consciousness, vijnana. Formations give rise to consciousness, the awareness of an object. Here, Vijnana refers to the arising of sensory or mental consciousness at the time of conception in a new life. Consciousness begins to register experiences, much like a newborn becoming aware of light, sound, and touch upon entering the world. The consciousness of a newborn carries imprints from previous actions, influencing their tendencies and predispositions. Consciousness links past actions to the present moment. This knowledge reveals the origin of the present state of ourselves. 4. Name and form. Nama Rupa. Consciousness develops into name, mental aspects like feelings and perceptions, and form, physical body, which are mental and physical constituents of existence, the mind-body complex of a being. Consciousness takes root in name and form, creating the basis for experience. A baby starts identifying hunger, a mental aspect, and associates it with their body, form, crying for milk. This marks the interplay between mind and body. A person's identity and body arise from previous karmic conditions, shaping their experience of the world. This reveals the interdependence of mind and body. 5. Six sense bases, Sarayatana. As the physical body matures, the six sense bases, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind develop, forming the foundation for sensory experience. For instance, the child grows, and their senses start exploring the world, seeing colors, hearing sounds, and tasting food. Eyes enable visual perception. The mind enables thoughts. These faculties allow interaction with the world, leading to sensory experiences. Without eyes, one cannot see. Without a mind, one cannot think. These bases enable interaction with the world. Practicing mindfulness, we may observe how sense faculties influence reactions. 6. Contact, Sparsa. When the sense bases encounter external stimuli, contact occurs. This is the meeting point of sense organ, object, and consciousness. Seeing a beautiful flower involves the eye, sense organ, the flower, sense object, and visual consciousness. A toddler touches a toy, experiencing its texture and associating it with pleasure or displeasure. Contact is the meeting point that generates experience. Be observant how contact leads to feelings and reactions. 7. Feeling, Vedana. Contact leads to feelings pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral sensations. For instance, the child feels joy when eating candy, pleasant, or pain when falling or touching a hot stove, unpleasant. These feelings shape their likes and dislikes. Feelings influence our responses and attachments. We may want to practice equanimity and avoid clinging to pleasurable sensations. 8. Craving, Tresna. Feelings trigger craving, a thirst for pleasurable experiences, and an aversion to unpleasant ones like pain. The child wants more candy, developing a craving for sweetness and becoming upset when denied. A craving for success may lead to overwork and stress, while aversion to criticism causes anxiety. Craving binds us to the cycle of suffering. To eliminate the suffering, we may want to cultivate contentment and non-attachment. 9. Clinging, Upadana. Craving intensifies into clinging attachment to objects, ideas, relationships, or identity. As the child grows, they might become possessive of toys or cling to praise, defining their self-worth through external validation. Or one holds tightly to a romantic relationship out of fear of loss, even when it's unhealthy. More examples of clinging may be clinging to wealth, relationships, or a fixed self-image. Clinging solidifies craving, creating deeper entanglement in samsara. To avoid such entanglement, we may practice let go of fixed attachments, generosity, and detachment. Becoming bhava. Becoming refers to the mental and physical formation of a new existence, influenced by clinging and karmic seeds. The teenager who clings to academic success might become overly competitive, accumulating stress and karmic imprints. A person's deep attachment to wealth may shape their future existence as someone driven by material pursuits. Becoming accumulates karmic potential that leads to rebirth. It is the stage where future existence is determined. To reduce such karma, we may practice mindfulness and reduce karmic tendencies. 11. Birth. Jati. Becoming results in birth, either literal birth into a new life or physical being that may be a human, animal, or other realm of existence, or the birth of new conditions in this life, or the arising of new mental states. The competitive teenager births the conditions for anxiety and overwork, setting the stage for future struggles. Or a new job can be seen as a birth into a new phase of life, shaped by past aspirations and efforts. Birth is the result of past karmic actions and becoming. We may want to understand the conditions that lead to rebirth and aim for liberation. 12. Aging and death. Jara Morana. All things born are subject to aging and death. Aging and death are the inevitable outcomes of birth. They signify the decay and cessation of existence, such as physical decline, emotional loss, and the final separation through death. A person eventually grows old, experiences illness, and faces death, perpetuating the cycle of suffering and illustrating the impermanence of life. This final link encompasses the entire spectrum of suffering, grief, loss, and decay. We may want to reflect on impermanence to inspire practice and renunciation. These links create a cycle, with ignorance leading to old age and death leading back to ignorance, perpetuating rebirth. With deep understanding these 12 links, we may find the way to transcend the cycle. Understanding the 12 links is not merely an intellectual exercise, it's a practical guide to liberation. By addressing the root cause ignorance, we can break the cycle of suffering. 1. Use mindfulness and insight to transform mental formations. Reflect on how each link manifests in your life, tracing the chain backward to its root ignorance. Practice mindfulness to weaken craving and clinging. Before reacting impulsively, pause and observe the arising of craving or aversion. Practicing mindfulness helps us observe our thoughts, feelings, and actions, cultivating awareness of their impermanent and interdependent nature. Be aware of feelings and reactions at the moment of contact. Try to notice how craving arises when encountering a pleasant sensation. Noticing a craving for dessert, we might reflect on its transient nature and choose a healthier response. Engage in wholesome actions and purify the mind, planting seeds of wisdom and compassion. Replace the habit of reacting with anger by cultivating patience and mindfulness. By transforming the Alaya Vijnana or Alaya consciousness into pure wisdom, one moves beyond duality and attachment, attaining liberation. 2. Ethical living. By adhering to ethical principles, we avoid creating harmful mental formations or volitional actions that perpetuate the cycle. Follow the 5 precepts or the Eightfold Path. Avoid actions rooted in greed, hatred, and delusion to reduce karmic formation. For example, choosing honesty over deceit builds positive karmic momentum. 3. Address ignorance and cultivate wisdom. Developing wisdom through study, meditation, ethical conduct, and reflection helps us see through and dispel ignorance. recognizing the emptiness of self and phenomena. Study teachings like the Four Noble Truths and meditate on the nature of impermanence. Understanding impermanence helps reduce attachment to fleeting pleasures. Reflect on the impermanent and unsatisfactory nature of clinging. Meditating on the nature of the body to reduce attachment. Practicing insight meditation, vipassana, helps recognize patterns of craving and clinging. This practice also helps us realize that clinging to a grudge only harms oneself, leading to forgiveness. 4. Compassion. Compassion for all beings helps reduce craving and clinging, fostering a sense of connection and harmony. Volunteering to help those in need shifts focus from self-centered desires to the well-being of others. Develop compassion for all beings trapped in samsara, dedicating your practice to their liberation. In short, the Buddha's teaching of the Eightfold Path provides a practical framework for breaking the cycle of dependent origination. By contemplating dependent origination, we weaken the illusion of a fixed self. By cultivating right view, intention, speech, action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, and concentration, or through wisdom and meditation, we can overcome ignorance and attain liberation. Modern application. In today's world, the 12 links remind us of the interconnectedness of all aspects of life. They teach us to approach challenges with mindfulness and wisdom, recognizing that our actions shape our experiences. For instance, if we're stuck in a cycle of stress at work, we can trace the roots: craving for success, clinging to perfectionism, and ignorance of true contentment, and address them mindfully. This understanding empowers us to break free from destructive patterns and cultivate peace and clarity. Conclusion. The 12 links of dependent origination offer profound insights into the nature of suffering, existence, and the path to liberation. By understanding and applying this teaching, we can break free from the cycle of birth and death and transform our lives, awakening to ultimate freedom, and we can help others do the same. Let this teaching inspire deeper reflection and practice. Thank you for joining us on this journey into Buddhist wisdom. If this video inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe for more teachings. May you find freedom and peace through understanding dependent origination. May you progress on your path to enlightenment. See you in the next video. Take care and stay mindful.